Your son has returned. I come bringing a full spoiler warning for God of War Ragnarok. Leave this video now if you don't want to be spoiled.
So here's the thing. God of War is a series that started out very... And don't worry, it still has plenty of...
Oh no. I say when we're done.
left in it, but now at the ripe old age of 21, I'm far less interested in... and far more interested in... Because while I loved the original trilogy growing up, and Ascension, don't judge me, God of War 2018 fixed something deep within me. It wasn't the God of War I remembered at first, it wasn't the Kratos I knew, but it was bloody and it was beautiful. This new, older, wiser Kratos was a character I learned to love as he learned how to love, the same as I learned to love Atreus, Mimir, Brok, Sindri, and Freya. And this was made easier when halfway through that game, to paraphrase Purposeless Rabbit Holes on the subject, I found that the Kratos that I already loved was still in there. And he's still mad as fuck. This series that used to be a dumb revenge quest evolving into an amazing game about fatherhood, forgiveness, and letting go of the past is a gaming miracle, and I will forever be grateful for it. So God of War 2018 healed my then broken soul. But God of War Ragnarok changed my life. I knew this game would fuck me up when, less than 20 minutes in, a wolf dies. And maybe you cried for this, maybe you didn't. Maybe to you this is a 3D model of an animal and you do not give a shit. Maybe you're like me and this was watching a boy lose his pet, watching a character you love lose something he loved, and maybe having lived through a similar experience, you'll feel the weight of that. It really depends, it's a personal experience. And that's kind of where I'm going with this. Everything in this video is going to be very personal, to the point where this may be my most personal video ever. So with that out of the way, let's talk about growth. Growth is the mark of a truly great character, in my opinion. Now, that's not to say that a character who doesn't grow can't be engaging, but I'm far more drawn to the ones that grow over the ones that don't. And beyond a character that grows, I'm fascinated to see a character who regresses, falls, fails, and even beyond that, I love seeing a character who gets back up, course corrects, and chooses to be better. Kratos only grew in the first game, and then 2 and 3 were just him becoming a hornier Doom guy. But God of War 2018 showed Kratos with even rougher edges, implying some new growth but also some new regression, and that game was all about him growing, becoming a better man, a better father, and a better god. That's the ethos of this game. We must be better than this. We will be better. So when Ragnarok starts, the two are in a very different place. I love the way the game uses a simple visual shorthand to communicate this, with the first game starting off with Kratos teaching Atreus to hunt for deer, and this game opening with Atreus returning from a hunt on his own. The game will not let you forget the journey of the first and how far these characters have come. Kratos specifically. We're constantly reminded of the God of War Kratos used to be and the God of Peace he is choosing to be today. He's grown a lot as a character, and there are moments of Atreus pushing him back to being the man he once was, even without knowing it. It's in both direct means, such as telling him to stop thinking like a father and start thinking like a general, and indirect means, merely by not being there. This is, to me, where the game is at its most interesting. When these two characters have grown so much as a result of their push and pull with each other, it's so compelling to see who they've become when they're apart. Atreus becomes a reckless, arrogant mess, somewhat driven to Odin because it's the exact thing Kratos wants him not to do. And Kratos, well, he's a whole other situation. And I think it's amazing to, as the player, feel what he's feeling. I want to protect Atreus. I want to go to the Norns to know how to protect him, but as the outsider looking in, I have my moments where I can feel how far Kratos is falling.
I know you're not the god you once were. And now is your chance to prove it.
Return my son, or you may meet the god I once was.
It's the rawest, most badass, most somber thing I've ever heard in a video game. It treats this character's growth with a great deal of respect while also clearly telegraphing to the player that Kratos feeling this way, that you feeling this way, while it's easy to fall into that trap, it's not where you should be. You've grown with Kratos, and you're regressing with him too. Kratos and Atreus' moment in Helheim, or as I like to call it, the realm of breakthroughs in character development, is incredibly sobering. Kratos coming to his senses and realizing he's been falling into his old ways, and Atreus admitting that he has, in many ways, adopted all of his father's least desirable traits, stands out as one of the game's more wholesome moments, a tearjerker even. Doesn't hurt that we get a return of my favorite line in gaming.
Atreus. I am sorry. Do not be sorry.
Don't be sorry, Father. Be better.
All of this comes to a bit of a head, I think, with Heimdall. Heimdall represents the worst in both Kratos and Atreus, the consequences of Atreus' actions as Loki, and the god-killing past Kratos chooses to leave behind. But you understand what drives both of those impulses. And even after the conversation in Helheim, where Atreus and Kratos promise to keep each other in mind before they make hasty decisions, there's still a bit of a desire to kill Heimdall. He does still pose a threat to Atreus, and on top of that, he's really fucking annoying.
Oh no! Arrow! Ow! Here's some. Not going to lie! I'm disappointed! Really? You are the one who killed Baldur?
You know killing him would be satisfying, but you know it'd be a great regression, so Kratos holds back, making the effort not to kill him. Side note, if I had a nickel for every time Scott Porter played a video game character with a missing arm in the year of our Lord 2022, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. But still, as with everything in the game, I felt what Kratos was feeling, and after dying to this asshole like 4 or 5 times, after beating him finally, after taking an act of mercy personally and refilling that health bar, after threatening Atreus again, and all the while being a cocky, arrogant douchebag, I was done, I was pissed, I just wanted him to shut up, shut up, shut
Brother! Brother! This isn't who you want to be!
Silence. Reflection. Not something you get a lot in video games. But Ragnarok isn't like most video games. It gives you this moment to sit with what Kratos did, with what you did. And it makes you know that there's no easy answer to any of the questions you're asking yourself. Kratos has killed a god again, not in self-defense, but in anger. Kratos has regressed, and for most characters, for most stories, there's no coming back from that. It's in his return to Atreus and Freya that Kratos chooses to be a bit more open, but still, Kratos gave in to the worst aspects of himself, and for most characters in this game, that's their undoing. Odin giving in to the arrogant murderer within him snowballs into his death. Freya learns not to give in to her vengeance because she learns to empathize with the man who killed her son and learns that vengeance will not bring her peace. Sindri loses his kind, giving nature to become the worst version of himself, and understandably so. But Kratos takes his growth and applies it here. He has killed a god before, and he is probably gonna do it again. But he knows that he has a chance, maybe not for himself, but for his son. And this is something I've tried to take into my life. Granted, I've never done anything as bad as destroying a country, not even murder, but I've done things I regret. I think most of us have. Everyone has something they want to undo, something they're not proud of, and you can't undo it. But you can work to make sure that you'll never be that stupid or arrogant again. I know it sounds corny, but following the example of this hypermasculine video game character is a good thing. You'll do bad things in life, and you'll work on it. You'll regress, but it's not about the regression. It's about what you do in response. What you did yesterday does not matter. Today,
We will be better.
shout out to my buddy Omar for donating to the $10 tier on my Patreon. If you want to support the channel and everything that we do, please go ahead and donate to the Patreon. It really helps me out with everything that I'm doing. I normally try and do like a pun with these Patreon segments related to like whatever I'm talking about. I don't have it in me. This video has been very draining emotionally to write and record. So yeah, that's really all I got. I'll see you guys next time.